What's up everybody, this is Ripples in Wales back for another video. I hope you're all doing well and having a great day wherever you are in the world and whatever you're doing. Sunday the 12th of October, 9 AM local Welsh time. Beautiful calm weather here. We've got the next 7 days of really settled calm weather, right? Interesting calm weather, calm before the storm vibes. And yeah, I did make a video for you all yesterday, but it corrupted. And so here we are back, square one, we go again. A lot to unpack today, right? We've had a bit of a crazy few days in the markets, and I've had a few crazy days in real life. But we'll talk about that again. But we're going to focus on the markets in a minute and have a glance at what's going on and see the bigger picture of things. And then we're going to kind of paint a picture why, okay, we've had a big flush. There's been a bit of a turn from fear to greed, and we are likely to see probably a turn, but I'm not sure the worst is over yet. We've got a bit of this kind of chicanery and shenanigans to go. Just want to have a quick look at the coin market cap index at the minute, and we're at 110k at Bitcoin, 237 on XRP, and Ethereum 3729, Solana 176. Fear and greed index is what interests me here. Okay, we're at 35, which is, we've had a reset, a very strong reset in the fear and greed index. All right, cool. And market cap down to 3.74 trillion, but yeah, Bitcoin back at 110. All right, okay. So if you haven't met me before, then Ripples in Wales. Find me on X. That's where I do most of my posting. This will go out on YouTube, but the Rumble channel will continue on with a lot of the other Riddler stuff that we cover. We're going to cover a little bit of that here, but we're going to have to keep that under the lid for obvious reasons with the account standing and whatnot. Anyway, the Bitcoin chart. I want to bring you some alpha on the Bitcoin chart here. We've had I'm just going to turn this crystal ball indicator off. These are the CoinsKid indicators. Thoroughly recommend signing up to his Discord. He gives you loads of these indicators, which is so useful. This is the bull market support band, which it tapped down. Bitcoin at 111. It actually wicked a lot lower, and this is on Binance, I think. Am I on Binance here? I think this is Binance. Just let me check. Beg your pardon, on Bitstamp. So we got a liquidation wick to 107. I don't think we're quite finished yet. I think might go lower. That's my gut instinct on things. The lower Bitcoin support band here, which is the bull and the bear market support bands, I believe. These ones are at 97. I just can funny feel something else is coming down the line. But ultimately, sorry, I wanted to paint a picture before I changed on that. Okay, this is not all bearish. I'm not gone bear at all. Just let me put the crystal ball indicator on here, which is an indicator that CoinsKid shows that that generally that there is likely to be a lot higher move. This is the kind of liquidity indicators as to where the market might move in the future. These are interesting. Also, we had some double buy signals here for buy and sells on the Bitcoin on the daily on the CoinSkin indicators. Just not too late, really. End of September and October. September. So it shows signs that we're likely to move up after this change in market structure. Okay, Ethereum is the one we want to watch though, and I've got a Fibonacci kind of tool on here to show you that this is the greater picture of things. This is on the weekly, and we can see that this is a big V-shaped recovery here, and a lot of the analysts are calling for a big move up towards potentially $12,000 now, and that might seem outlandish, but Ether's got plenty of gas to go a lot higher, and I think it will. All right, Solana, painting the same picture, back down on the Bitcoin support bands, both of them, but it's still holding strong 180s. It was at 250s. That's a big drop, but similar to XRP, right? The liquidity in them just got sucked out, which shows that the market's not established yet. We're nascent assets. This is the XRP chart. I've kept it quite bare for you to show that we ripped down super low. I mean, some buy orders were filled at 120 apparently. I don't know. You probably had 20 seconds to fill those, and I don't know if the liquidity was there to fill them. Again, this is not something I'm so au fait with. I'm learning myself. But apparently, in these flash crashes, I mean, you have to be very lucky to catch some of these. It's not as if you can go into Uphold or Kraken or Coinbase and put a buy order in. If it's not set, it won't get filled, and if the liquidity's there, it won't get filled either. So, we back tested this bull market support band at 225, and we bounced off. But we've got some bit of a recoil going on. My gut instinct is we go lower. But do not worry, I don't feel like I'm in any concern for change here at all. Like, we are in a bull. I don't give a shit what goes on really here. Excuse my French. I think that the market makers are now doing what they're going to do, and we're going to talk about that, why that might be the case. We do have, you remember, almost 18 to 20 XRP ETFs going on. So Wall Street are coming, aren't they? Okay, so if people, think this is a naive tariff trade thing, I think that we need to look bigger on this, and I'll explain why shortly. But just a bit of a jovial kind of art take for Beeple at the minute. We're so back, and he's got McDonald's in every token heading towards McDonald's, and again a zombified, battle-torn state, help wanted. Yeah, hilarious. Anyway, so let's go through a bit of a post-mortem on what's going on. Breaking, this is by Combureau. We don't want tariff war, but we're not afraid of one, says China, firing back at Trump. And this is all about a trade war, supposedly, right on the surface, supposedly. But I was explaining to my father yesterday really what was going on with things, and what's really going on behind the scenes here is the retooling, isn't it? So industry is trying to be brought back to the native countries because of robotics. So all of the labour pools moved out to eastern countries because labour force was cheaper. Manufacturing moved out with it, and the countries have lost out big style. The UK was the same in the 1980s, 90s. It happened here, and it continued moving on over the past 2 decades afterwards. The same in America. Trump's putting a stop to that, and he's saying, no, we don't need to do that anymore. And why doesn't he need to do that anymore? It's smart, because America will be the base for AI and robotics. And what will robotics do? They will replace human labour in manufacturing. So labour can come home because it doesn't have an expensive cost anymore. Labour force will go down to zero, the costs of it, because of the robotics. So what he's doing is he's playing the game now. And this isn't about tariffs, essentially. The bigger picture is he's forcing American companies that have migrated to come back to the shores of America. So they retool with robotics and AI, and America has a second wind. It's very, very clever. All the other countries will do it. So these eastern countries who have taken all of our labour forces because of a cheaper labour pool will now kind of be at a disadvantage with robotics and AI. And I think that's what the accelerationists are doing. Anyhow, moving on. So we've got, again, post-mortem vibes. Someone opened a Bitcoin short 30 minutes before Trump's tariff was announced and closed with £88 million profit. So again, insider trading information. DAI, someone was betting dimes to donuts Trump would announce China tariffs. This is unusual. This is a Kobayashi letter. 30 minutes before President Trump had the announcement yesterday, a whale took a multi-million-dollar short in Bitcoin. There we go. So there was an enormous short, and you can have a look at this image if you want to pause it and go on. We've got to get through the video. But again, Jacob King, I don't know if this is the right take on things, but crypto is a rigged casino, and today's events prove it beyond doubt. A single colossal BTC whale shorted the peak, and then just minutes before market shattering price piled on millions more in shorts. Okay, so long story short, someone seemed to get insider information about the tariffs speech Trump put on, and they put in an enormous trade on short on Bitcoin, forcing it down. And so at the very bottom of the drop, he closed 90% of the Bitcoin shorts. He says this is an enormous hedge fund that's done this. You don't have 100,000 Bitcoin if you're not a huge hedge fund player, or it could be blamed upon China. I don't know. This is Wall Street, in my opinion. He pocketed roughly 190, 200 million in a single day. This is Wall Street, and I'll tell you why. That's why my feelings on Wall Street. So the first ever 20,000 Bitcoin daily candle to the south went. This is, this enormous liquidation candle, the red candle. It's crazy. So why I don't think this is over. We've got a massive 11 billion Bitcoin whale just opened a 900 million short on Bitcoin and ETH, which is very, very interesting. And that was posted just 7 a.m. today, our time, Coin Bureau. So why do I not think we're out of the woods yet? I think there's more to come. I think that the markets will open tomorrow. There'll be more chaos. But let's zoom out and let's take a kind of neutral, refresh pill and okay, hold on. Does this matter in the grand scheme of things? And what is this fight about? Well, we'll talk about why this fight is about and what this fight is about in a minute. But let's just listen to what Raoul Paul says, because he is quite a balanced dude in the scheme of things. All of this is just noise. If you don't use leverage, there are only 2 questions you need to ask as a longer-term holder. Will tomorrow be more digital than today? Has the liquidity cycle and business cycle topped, or is it rising to finance the $10 trillion that needs to roll in the next 12 months? If both answer yes, then it's all noise. If your time horizon 5+ years, then the second part is noise too. BTFD and don't F this up. He says thanks. So Yeah, so the point thing is, zoom out. My view is 2030 in my mind for things to reassess at 2030. So, I've got 5 years to kind of look at things, build my position still, and go long. I'm not interested in short-term stuff. I really am not. So I will just continue adding aggressively, very aggressively, and, working the margins. Anyway, moving on. So where are we now? Oh yeah, so the base case for Ethereum bulls. Now this is big. We talked about this in my charts earlier on, why the guys, and it's not me saying this is them. A base case for me is Ethereum rallies to new all-time highs. I will admit I'm wrong if BTC gets 2 weekly closes below 100k. So his eyes on BTC below 100k, but his thoughts are ETH rally. Same with Bobby Axe. Series of posts this morning by Bobby. Excuse me. Think outperformance once ETH gets going. It will suck the liquidity out of everything, and it's gearing up for a massive move, in my opinion. Again, another tweet. I should have seen this earlier, but there's still plenty of time. ETH rotating ETH isn't an option; it's necessary. ETH will pull a BNB, in my opinion. Okay, and again, ETH is in the middle of a V-shaped recovery. It's bull flagging on the monthly. I just saw that backtesting former resistance and support preparing to smash through its current all-time high during its third go, and it will. The monthly momentum will do it. Cheers. Okay, I sign up to Bobby's newsletter. I recommend you guys to do it. It's a very balanced view on the macro side of things. Good analyst. I do it with a load of them just to kind of feed my knowledge graph and learn on the bigger time frames. It gives me a lot more kind of a relaxed view on the bigger scheme of things when I listen to these macro chart analysts, because I can even get chopped up on the dailies, but sometimes you need a bit of a reminder to zoom out. All right, this is Tom Lee. The pullback isn't a red flag, it's a buying opportunity. Have a quick listen.
Lived through this February to April, and it was a day-by-day and day-by-day panic, and maybe there's echoes of trauma people are thinking about, and we do know that this these are important issues. So I wouldn't want to be glib in saying, hey, this is nothing, because the market is making a big move. But to me, if I said, okay, what are the reasons stocks have been attractive for the past 12 months? It's been about the innovation coming from AI, and it's the innovation as Wall Street looks onto the blockchain, and now it's the Fed that's beginning an easing cycle. These three things have structural tailwinds that aren't disrupted because of potential even rare earth dispute with China.
Okay, so that's huge. What you're saying is the pullback isn't a red flag, but a buying opportunity driven by AI innovation, blockchain growth, and a Fed easing cycle still intact. Right, we know that Bitcoin and ETH have already been allowed through the net. They're going, okay? And they're going to run really, really bloody hard. Wall Street is coming. His key point in the middle there is Wall Streets are coming. And I want you to remember that, because we're going to come on to it in a minute. Okay, and so moving on to the XRP news, the Kobe C letter. I can't even pronounce that. This was an unprecedented liquidation event amid the crypto crash. XRP erased a whopping minus 50% of its market cap in 30 minutes. Invert commas, huge buying opportunity for you lot. For anyone who hasn't filled their bags, I am certainly filling my bags up more. Again, not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. I am buying. At 450, XRP was worth 661 billion. By 520, XRP worth 80 billion. All right, okay, yeah, but let's zoom out. It bounced back, and why I mean to look at the bigger picture. Let's turn this around now and put some bullish sentiment back in and inject some bullish. And why, I'm looking at the long-term picture and the bigger picture. Okay, Wall Street's coming. Wall Street is coming. Okay, these crashes are timed beautifully so that these institutions scoop up enormous amounts of crypto. Not just Bitcoin, not just Ethereum, not just XRP, not just Solana, but all of the ETF Fed narratives. Okay, they are going to scoop them up at pennies on the dollar. Why do you think we've seen the biggest crash in history? And I think that these will continue to occur. They always do. They're scooping them up. If people one account there made 200 million, that's a fifth of a billion. It's going to continue. Look, ladies and gentlemen, the ultimate pain XRP. All right, he shows like a little green arrow. Can you see that green arrow with a wick down before an enormous explosion? All right, he's showing that we had a big wick down, a massive drawdown. This is what happens, guys, on big liquidity events. They sweep the liquidity north and they sweep the liquidity south, which is leverage liquidity, and then the chart is set neutral again for for higher growth. Again, when we look at another chartist, these are not small accounts, these are big accounts. Like, these are people who've got a lot of credibility, almost 330,000 followers. Okay, surprisingly, Ripple, he calls it Ripple, has one of the nicest structures in all majors today, because this dump today is part of a 9-month range where both sides were taken out. Both sides, what does he mean? Was liquidity north and liquidity south. XRP goes to all-time highs with haste. Okay, there's the liquidity taken north, B, and there's liquidity taken south, C. And we're looking at an ABC correction before an aggressive move off. Okay, again, we can back this up with further data. This is Crypto Insight UK, one of my friends, brilliant chartist as well. Crypto Insight UK, follow him at Twitter, XRP daily liquidity, all downside liquidity taken. See all this red patch here? It's all taken, it's all swept with this massive candle, which means all the liquidity now is stood north of this. Okay, that means all the kind of the rest of the liquidity, and this is what happens. You get sweeps down, reversals, all liquidity's gone, back up you go. The books have got to balance first. All right, absolutely amazing. Okay, so jumping into the kind of more kind of tinfoil hat stuff, and a bit more kind of like Riddler stuff. I know that you all like it. We just want to touch upon. This is the Bearable Guy account. I'm sure you've all seen it before. Right, what I want to touch upon here is the tweets, and we've talked about the regulation molasses. We know that's coming, right? We've not got it because why? Because the Senate is closed down. Why is it closed down? The Democrats are trying to block all of your crypto regulation in the US. It's not in the UK, right? So why might they want to do that? Because they're desperately terrified of the banking system changes. So what I mean, over the bigger picture, what's going on, right? Okay, your entire monetary system is about to change. We're having a new form of rails and a new form of money, and the old banking cartels can't control that. Crypto, blockchain is the new rails. Crypto is the new kind of gas tokens down the rails. Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, Solana, they're all going to be part of this new technology that the banking system can't control. Okay, and that's what it is. It's a block by banking. Okay, so when might things change? Specifically for tokens like XRP, when the regulations drop, when that might occur, when they get that Senate open and they get the Clarity Act through and they start a taxonomy act for crypto. Because what will that do? It will give your assets a special designation, in my opinion, as to what their standing is as commodities, maybe as payment currencies. But that's when you can see that the changes occur. Okay. And in December, when this goes live, so we've got this to go live at the minute. We haven't gone live because the molasses, the regulations haven't gone, and the jar hasn't fallen. But Bearable Guy 123 on one of his riddles here. Excuse me, hold on. I've been drinking too much coffee this morning. Lodestar 3, for it as a test. 1 and 2 are given, 3 as a quest. That's the only bit that I want you to read. For Lodestar 3, for it there's a test. 1 and 2 are given, 3 as a quest. 1 and 2 is Bitcoin and ETH. 3 is a quest. 3 is Ripple XRP. Okay. A journey ahead till treasures in sight. Beside the last Lodestar, a last prick of light. A journey ahead. This is a journey. We know that. And I called this to you all 5 years ago. I said this timeline by Bearable Guy extends way out into the future. 2030. Okay. People thought I was mental. Nowhere near. Okay. We're going out. And where are we in this whole sequence? We're still in this. How do we know? Because the jar of molasses hasn't fallen. And the phoenix hasn't risen, right? Okay, these are the metaphors that these are kind of people who created these cryptographic cartoons used in order to explain to us that certain things have to be in place for us to transition to this new system. Ultimately, that's what they mean. And what in this picture, what's got to happen? Well, a 589, a reset on Swift. What else is good? Regulation in the crypto space. Okay, what might mandate Swift to have to change? ISO 20022, a very, very clever metadata standard for technology that all the payment systems around the world are being mandated to update to, forced out of the old Swift system, which was an MTMX system. Okay, this is a change. Now, this scene paints a bit of a crazy picture, doesn't it? And that's why I think we're not out of the storm yet by any means. Things might get a little bit more messy. This is not a kind of pretty scene, so to speak, but it does have a phoenix in the fire rising, and it does have the kind of the purple stocking, which represents the colors of XRP, and the green is Bitcoin, the yellow is RLUSD. Obviously, you might notice the pair of the socks, the stockings that are sitting next to each other, the purple and yellow. That's because XRP supports the US dollar, doesn't it, now in dollar form. So that's pegged up between November and December. We talked about this, the level playing field between September, October, November, December. We've looked at the calendar before, haven't we? And we've seen that things don't get really clear until December. And why does Bearable Guy always post his stuff in December? You know, everything's at Christmas, isn't it? This is a Christmas scene. So we've got a bit of things to play out in the cryptosphere now towards Christmas, haven't we? And I believe at Christmas we'll see things, you know, kind of come to light in this picture again. But what happens occur, you know, so in the Variable Guy timeline, what happens next? What is the next thing to roll out? Well, we've got Lodestar 3, which will be December the 17th. And then we've got next April 2026, when this ship scene comes out. I was wrong. Again, I've told you my timings have been really amiss with these. There's one thing I can't get is the timings. They're very, very complex to gauge. But in April, this will likely go live. But what is the significant part of this? A ship coming out of a storm. Okay, we've seen here, and it's got Aries in it. We've talked about this in probably 20, 40, maybe 50 of my videos. Go back and have a look at this ship scene. We don't know when this plays out until it plays out, but Variable Guy posted it in April, so my gut instinct is next spring things will play out. Marvin Gaye also has that in his banner, doesn't he? Marvin GO526, May 2026. Again, we're guessing with dates, we don't know. But the point is a ship coming out of a storm. And what does a storm represent? The changeover from one financial system to the other. That is the huge thing to take in here. Okay, this does not go live until 2026. All the Riddlers talked about 2026, didn't they? We've talked about this in multiple times. All right, and where did I want to go north of this? Hold on, just wait there 1 second. Now, while we're on the Riddler stuff, let's carry on for a second because I'm on a bit of a flow here. Okay, why are the prices crashing? Let's just look at this picture here. What does it represent? It represents Wall Street coming in to buy crypto. Okay, not just XRP, but Bitcoin, Ethereum, and all of those assets. We'll go into detail at this picture again, but what's occurring in the background? The Ripple Riddler painted an incredible picture here for you to say that this isn't going to be pretty. You know, this is a storm in the background, a massive financial storm. And why might we see a financial storm? Well, if the controllers of the old banking industries that have had the power for 500 years are having to witness their kingdoms, I use that word very selectively, their financial kingdom and their castles besieged, do you think they're going to let it go with grace and ease? Very unlikely. They've obviously positioned, and they're going to be positioned, but they're not going to let this go without a few bumps down the road, are they? And which is what you're seeing in the American Senate. And so we can expect some chaos and turmoil. Why? Because they're not going to let it go without a fight. Okay, they've controlled it for many, many hundreds of years. And this is now a pivot into a new financial order. So the storm in the background represents, in my opinion, a transitional period of time. And when do I think this is going to occur? We are beginning into it now. And that doesn't mean I think the price is going to zero. Absolutely not. I believe crypto will rise into this of sorts. But don't expect it to be a straight line. This is going to be a windy track through potentially a bit of a chaotic period. That does not mean that my view changes on crypto in any way, shape or form. I am so bullish on it. No pun intended. The Wall Street Bull and the Matador is you know, the Wall Street Bull is going for the flag that the Matador is holding, and it's green, which is for Bitcoin. But behind it, you've got the XRP logo on it. Okay, and the Matador's got the X on the bowler hat. Okay, but he's pointing up towards 11 in the sky. Okay, the time on the clock. They use clocks and timing so important on it. So this is why I wanted to bring this to your opinion. The Riddlers also left a load of tombstones on the floor here. You know, like almost as markers of time. And you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11, 12. And you know, I can only presume that they are months. This is what the indicators are using. There's lots of other beautiful symbology in here, like the purple on the back of the bull. Very, very clever, very subtle. But we'll go into this again. So this is why Wall Street might be crashing the markets, because they want to buy at pennies on the dollar, and they are having a bit of a fight against the old system. We'd seen this before with smoke and mirrors. Another image that the Ripple Riddler dropped. We're just going to go over these super quick with you. We're not going to go into super detail. I've talked about these in dozens of my videos. We've talked about, you know, this crow signaling death and rebirth. Okay, and I don't know, these window panes do represent months. I don't know what they represent anymore. I thought I did, but the point is that it represents a sequence of time of some sort, right? The OTC trading desks are coming in. Okay, and we've got kind of the storm, a full moon, then a storm. We don't know, but the point in what it's trying to say is that there is a a change occurring. We'll go into this again, and in the background there you can see XRP at number 1 on CoinMarketCap with a smash in the window. There is changes occurring. We'll go over these again. These are brilliant pictures. But what else would we talked about this before, an emergency broadcast. We talked about this in my previous video. If you saw it, we'll go over these again. And finally, we talked about, you know, the kind of the connection to the emergency broadcast potentially in November. You know, that the silencing of the television. Okay, very clever. You know, emergency broadcast. We've talked about that. EBS. I'm sure you've all heard about it. Yeah, there's a lot going on, and so keep your eyes on the prize. This is the bearable count. You know, you give them a follow. On the back of that, all going to finish it up with Dom. You know, just bought 10,000 XRP for myself on the way to gym. Love it, and I'm keeping my eyes on XRP memes. I am not faltering. My view is on a long-term play that some of these XRP memes. A shout out to the creator of this, Yeshua. I am very bullish on the strongest memes. My eyes of purchases currently right now. I'm looking at Army. I'm looking at some Bear as they bottom out on their charts. No other two really jump at me just yet, because that's the two that I mean, Fuzzy's doing really well. Phoenix is holding up pretty well. Drop's holding up pretty well. Might take a bigger position in Drop. I might double my positions in Army and Drop and Bear. It's just FYI. If you want to trade memes, go safely. I always say this. It's on First Ledger. The link's at the top of my description. Now you can see it if you come to here. I've on my page, I've updated my links. You can follow the link tree there. That will take you to First Ledger and open an account. Again, it is an affiliate link. I do get a kickback from it, but it helps the channel, and this goes to growth of the channel. In fact, 80% of the previous monetizations we got it for, it went back into my private groups to build the private groups out. 80% of it. So, you know, we're building out private groups here. Yeah, we'll talk about that in the future, but we're building something bigger. Anyway, I take a 2% position in my portfolio with the memes. If you think that you want to dabble in the memes, again, it's high risk. Please take great care. Pick the strongest ones and go long-term conviction with these memes lasting the test of time. Again, they do come with risk, but I'm going to risk 2% of my portfolio, probably a little bit more now, probably 3 or 4% given the updraft I had in the past cycle. But yeah, keep your eyes on it. It's worth learning about, nothing else. You know. Anyway, and to finish off, the Ripple Riddler posted yesterday, coming soon, why silver may be the most undervalued asset on earth. So I think he might be premiering another video today. Keep an eye on that. That's on his posts. It's at 12,000 XRP. I hope this video has been fun. I'm looking forward to this greatly. I've got to get off today. I'm going to do a run, I think, shortly. I've got some family stuff to sort out. And then I'm going to take a day away from the computer, I think. And I'll get this posted out to you later on this afternoon. Anyway, I hope that's all good. Please drop me a comment, right? I want to know where you all are in the world. Just put where you're reading, watching, listening to this from, wherever you are in the world. It fascinates me to see where the demographics are. Just drop a location, and I'm going to give it a like. I'm fascinated to hear where you all are in the world. I was thinking about that this morning. Cool. I hope that's good. Roundup. Stay bullish. Stay strong. I think that there's good times to come. Again, long-term view, guys. Long-term view. I think that the chart analysts have got it right. I think we're going to see big updraft in these assets. Why it's important that ETH rallies, and where we need to look at that, which I failed to bring to you, is that if ETH rallies up to all-time highs, it really sets the precedent for the alt season that we're experiencing. And especially given the updraft you've got sitting, waiting for those 20 XRP ETFs sitting on the sidelines. Okay. Big moves coming. All right, take care. I hope that's a good video. Please drop it a like. Please share. Please drop us a comment where you're from and all that. And I look forward to seeing you all in the next video. Thanks for your time. Take care. Be blessed. Bye for now.